Hey, what's up, guys? So today is basically a phone comparison, and it's the one that people have actually been asking for. I wanted to do this one for Friday, but I figured that you know what, you guys are awesome, so I'm gonna give it to you guys early. So today we're going to be comparing the LG G Stylo to the ZTE Boost Max. Both phablets for Boost Mobile. Nearly spec the same, just a few things are kind of different between the two. We're gonna go over that in this entire video. It is going to be quite long, so grab a snack, get your favorite Earth beverage, and check out my comparison. Let's go. Alright, so let's get into this review, or basically this comparison. And I know a lot of people wanted this comparison to happen. So yeah, we're gonna make it happen. So on my left we have the LG G Stylo, which is the newest phablet offered by Boost Mobile. On the right we have the ZTE Boost Max, also known as just the ZTE Max. So we're going to basically compare right now the specs between the two. So we'll start off with the G Stylo. Basically, its height is 6.8 inches, its weight is 5.85 ounces, and the width is 3.12 inches. Screen size is a 5.7 inch display. Battery time, basically talk time, up to 24 hours. It's got a 3,000 milliamp. Sorry, I'm getting tongue tied here. A 3,000 milliamp hour battery, and it is removable. It's got 1 gig of RAM, 8 gigs of internal storage. It's got a 1.2 gigahertz quad-core processor, and basically it runs Android 5.0.2 Lollipop. So that's just the basic specs for the G Stylo. Compared to the ZTE Max, basically its height is 6.5 inches. It weighs about 6.87 ounces. Its width is 3.25 inches. Screen size is the same at 5.7 inch display. It's supposed to have a talk time up to 16 hours. It's got a 3,200 milliamp hour battery, and it is not removable. It's got 8 gigs of internal storage, 1 gig of RAM. It's got a 1.2 gigahertz dual core processor, and currently runs 4.4.2 KitKat. So those are just the minor specs kind of put out the way here. Now, there are several things that, is probably going to shock a lot of people in comparison to things. So let me go ahead and, for this video, let me just turn off the security. We're going to run a couple of benchmarks, and I'm going to talk to you guys just about my experience. And some of you guys may be okay with what I'm going to say. Some of you guys may disagree, but this is real world usage. So let me just go real quick, because since we're going to be using this phone, let me turn off the pen. All right, so basically here we have both devices. Both are unlocked right now, and let's go over the build quality. So we're going to start off with the G Stylo. Basically plastic. That's pretty much what some people are gonna basically say, like, oh, it's plastic and all this stuff, and it's made to feel like metal, but it's not metal, it's plastic. But you know what? It's okay though. I'll turn on the camera on accident. It's fine. I think if you're gonna be using a phablet, this probably would be the better one to choose, because you still get the 5.7 inch display, but compared to the ZTE Max, it's smaller, so a little bit more compact, a little bit more comfortable to hold in the hand. As you guys notice, that the ZTE Max is just flat, straight on through. It really doesn't have much of a curve that fits your palm, so you got like this really got that space right there, whereas with the G Stylo you don't. You got this nice curve to it that helps fit in the palm, so it relieves some stress of gripping the device. And because it's lighter than the ZTE Max, the G Stylo will not really cramp up your hand or your wrist for holding it for such a long time as the ZTE Max will, because it's heavier. Body wise, for the ZTE Max, it's all plastic too. This right here can fool people to thinking that it's some sort of metal. It's not metal at all. It's plastic. All of it is plastic. This is just more of a shiny brushed polished plastic, and this is more of a matte finish type plastic, whereas on the top and bottom. But other than that, it is all plastic. So both of them are basically plastic devices, and so nothing really to, really too much to complain about here as far as the build quality, except for the fact that the ZTE Max is heavier. With that being said, it is going to stress your hands holding it for such a long period of time. And I found, I thought, adding a case to the ZTE Max would help. It actually made things worse, because the bulkier the device got, the more harder it was to hold it for long periods of time. So, if you want something light that's not going to stress your hands for a long period of time, the G Stylo is probably the way to go over the ZTE Max. So another obvious choice, depending if you care about it, is removable battery, as the ZTE Max does not have a removable battery. So if you needed to say like you were running out of battery, you can't actually just pop a battery into the ZTE Max. You're gonna have to carry one of those power banks so you can charge it. With the G Stylo, it does have a removable battery, and that way, if you don't want to carry a power bank and having your device charged in your backpack or anywhere else, you can just simply swap out to a fully powered battery and you're good to go. But it's not such a deal breaker for the ZTE Max, because most people today, they love to buy tech accessories, and a power bank is no different than buying like earbuds or a case or anything like that. So really, it's just a matter of preference. Going forward, we're going to talk about basically the cameras. Okay. Both have 8 megapixel cameras in the back. And to me, the G Stylo takes better pictures. The ZTE Max 8 megapixel camera is pretty good too. It takes decent quality pictures. I say that they're pretty much close when it comes to the picture quality for the rear cameras. They're close, but just, a little bit more for LG. But I mean, if you're not one of those people who's like, dead picky about how the pixels come out and all that stuff, then yeah, you're not really going to see much of a huge difference between both cameras when they take pictures. But if you're someone who can really look into the fine lines of everything, then yeah, you're going to have some issues there. The front-facing camera is where it becomes a little bit more of a lead for the G Stylo, as the front-facing camera, the 5 megapixel front-facing camera on the G Stylo totally blows away the, I believe it's 1.2 megapixel front-facing camera on the ZTE Max. Either way, one of the things I do notice is that with the front-facing camera on the ZTE Max, everything seems to be a little bit washed out. So let me demo that here in a second. Even using the Google camera. So let's switch around to the front-facing camera. And as you guys can see, it's a little washed. And what's weird is that the preview that you see in the front-facing camera, it's not what you get when you snap a photo. So let's take a photo here. You guys can see, I don't know if you guys can tell, but it got a little bit darker. Not too much, but I mean, like all the shades in the dark areas just got just a little bit more darker than what the preview showed. So no big deal though. I mean, you can still take selfies. And outside, selfies are great with the front-facing camera on the ZTE Max, just because, of course, you got natural lighting. So that is going to be a huge help. But let's leave the front-facing camera open on that one. Let's go into LG's camera and let's switch around. And let's put them side by side, and now you guys will see a total difference between the two. So as you see, colors are more vivid and bright with the G Stylo, and it's a little bit more shaded and kind of dark with the ZTE Max. So that might be a little bit of a deal breaker if you're someone that likes to take selfies. You know, you're gonna want to obviously go with a camera that can pretty much give you better quality and at least more to true likeness colors in low lighting, indoor lighting, or outside lighting. So this is where the G Stylo kind of blows away the ZTE Max when it comes to camera quality. So let's go ahead and switch it around just so you guys can see what the rear cameras look like. So let's switch. And this is where it gets pretty interesting. So when you look at it, to me, right now, indoors, looks like the ZTE is a little bit more crisp in colors, but then, you know, like the reds are kind of washed, as on LG, the reds are nice and bright. Not too bright, like it's oversaturated, but just more of a true red. Whereas you guys can see on the ZTE Max, the red is a little washed out. But like beige colors, just seems to be just a little bit more nicer on the ZTE Max, even though they are true to color on the G Stylo. It makes it seem like there's a filter on the ZTE Max when truly there's not. There's no filter on. This is just the true color capture of the rear cameras. So yeah, you know, that's what I was saying. Like the G Stylo's camera is a little bit better, but not by much. The rear camera's not by much. But the front-facing camera does make a really huge difference. Facebook notification from my sister. So anyways, moving on, of course, the elephant in the room, the G Stylo runs Lollipop 5.0.2, which is not the most current build, as the current build right now is 5.1.1. But no big deal, right? I mean, you know, it's not actually that far behind, whereas the ZTE Max right now is on 4.4.2 KitKat, which is not bad itself, but it's about to be 2 generations behind. So, and right now I'm running both of them in their stock launchers, so I don't have like an aftermarket launcher that will kind of shift anything about its behavior. But they both run fairly well when it comes to like touch response, but the ZTE Max to me is a little bit faster when it comes to touch response and opening applications. So let me go ahead and clear out some apps in the background right here, and we're going to kind of run benchmarks side by side while I go over some other things. So let's clear that out, and we're going to run Geekbench first. I can't do any network comparisons because the ZTE Max is not activated right now. So yeah, let's we'll leave it at that right now. Okay, so we're gonna try to run these at the same time. Okay, and let them go. So while they're running their benchmark test, basically, sound quality, I have to say the ZTE Max takes it. The speaker on the LG G Stylo is a lot quieter than it is on the ZTE Max. Of course, some people will say it's because of Dolby Digital Plus, but honestly, even when I have that turned off, the Max's speaker just totally blows the G Stylo away on sound. There are like some YouTube videos that I can watch on the ZTE Max where I have to have the volume at 40% because that seems to be like a good average area for the sound without it being like over loud. Whereas on the G Stylo, I would have to have the volume blasted up to 100 just to even hear that same video. And it also seems like the speaker on the G Stylo, I would consider it more of a squawk box, just because when you have it at 100, you kind of hear a little distortion at times, depending on the video. And it just seems like that certain things could actually blow the speaker out. So I always keep it at least at like 95 or at least 90% volume when watching YouTube videos, just in case. Adjusting it between 90 to 100 depending on how the sound quality is on the video, which is a little bit pain in the butt, whereas the ZTE Max can pretty much handle sound in itself. And with headphones plugged in, there's no contest. The ZTE Max pretty much takes that. Also, just using any one of my headphones or even using my I was gonna say skull candy earbuds that I have right here. The ZTE Max can drive those very well with bass and quality, and so to me, audio quality definitely goes to the ZTE Max. So as we see right here with Geekbench, basically with everything pretty much shut down, we get 454 on the G Stylo with 1366 multi-cores, and then we get 417 on the ZTE Max with 759 in multi-core. So, this is why I always tell people, like, you can run benchmarks, but then at the same time too, like, don't read too much into them, because while right here it shows the G Stylo has a higher score by a slight margin over the ZTE Max, honestly, and many of you guys may disagree with me, but I get faster experience with the ZTE Max than I do with the G Stylo, and that would be using applications and stuff, which I will go into right now. So let's go ahead and close this out. Actually, let's run N22. Okay, so let's open up both of them, and I'm going to try to begin the tests at the same time. So let's see, it's initializing here. We'll wait. 1, 2, 3, go. And so we'll wait for those to run their tests. But like I was saying, it's really hard to rely on benchmarking, because while clearly it's saying that the G Stylo is more powerful than the ZTE Max, I kind of beg to differ on it, because the ZTE Max just seems to blaze a lot faster. I find it, a tad bit faster than the G Stylo. So for a lot of people who have gone on the internet and said that the Boost Max sucks and all this other stuff, don't be so quick to judge so fast, especially with a new device like the G Stylo. And mind you, Sprint and Boost Mobile got ripped when it came to the G Stylo, because T-Mobile offers the more higher spec version, which still boggles my mind why Sprint did not go after the same version for the G Stylo for Boost Mobile, or if that was just like LG basically building a GSM device with higher specs for T-Mobile and then building a low spec G Stylo that's CDMA for Boost Mobile and Sprint. And if so, then LG, you guys are some dirty players. Because basically right now, the way I feel, just on side topic, the G Stylo basically is going to be the device that pretty much not influence, but hypes up this battle between Metro PCS and Boost Mobile. And of course, Metro PCS is going to get more of the win. It's going to be near a landslide victory for them, only for the fact that if people wanted the LG G Stylo, they're forced to go with Metro PCS if they wanted the higher spec one. If they're okay dealing with the 8 gig internal storage and 1 gig of RAM on the Boost Mobile variant, well then, yeah, they're going to choose that one and choose Boost Mobile. But I mean, if, obviously most people, they're going to hear, 16 gigs of internal storage versus 8, they're going to go with the 16 gig. 2 gigs of RAM versus 1 gig of RAM, they're going to go with the 2 gigs of RAM. So really, this depends. If that was LG's call on how to build the CDMA version of the G Stylo, that's pretty dirty, LG. So anyways, we're still waiting for these benchmarks to finish up. And, let's go into call quality while we're waiting for these benchmarks to finish. So, on phone calls with the LG G Stylo, I hear pretty clear. I wouldn't say crystal clear, but I can hear the other party on the other line really good, and they can hear me really good. So the microphones are kind of working. As far as noise canceling, it's trying its best to do what it can do, but as far as like flagships that have noise canceling, it doesn't perform as top as those devices do, but it still gets it done. Generally, you can hear what I'm saying, and the same thing can be said with the ZTE Max. Call quality on that is actually really good, and which is really nice because it's considered a low tier device, even though to me I considered ZTE to be good company that's it's not up and coming because they've been around for a while, but they're starting to build their smartphones in a, you know, I would say more in a good way, I guess. And yeah, so call quality on both of them is actually pretty good. I'm just gonna finish off these benchmarks. That's actually weird because after it finishes its benchmarks, it goes right back to my home screen on G Stylo, which is weird why it doesn't, you know, like. So there we go, 21,526. We're still waiting for the ZTE Max to finish. Yeah, so, you know, on benchmark scores, that pretty much like, you know, if you base everything on benchmark testing, then yeah, everyone's gonna be like the ZT Max just got totally smoked. But you know, for me, I always rely on real world usage, and that's why I think like companies are really good when they give you that, you know, either like a 14-day or uh, just whatever. Okay, so well, gave it to me in different details. So let's see. Okay, so the ZTE Max got a 14,154, and the G Stylo got a 21,526. So again, you know, that's yeah, it is what it is. So in general, you know, basically benchmarking says that the G Stylo is more powerful than the ZTE Max. But I have to tell you guys, the ZTE Max holds its own, even if it has just a dual core processing chip. Even if, you know, that it has pretty much a little bit lower specs than the G Stylo does, it still holds its own. So matter of fact, the ZTE Max that I have in front of me right here runs as if it had a quad core processor. So that's actually big thumbs up, you know, for a device to hang like that. Last I want to talk about before I end this little comparison is battery life. I get more battery with the ZTE Max. Matter of fact, I can go nearly 20 hours, and I can have about between medium and heavy use on the ZTE Max and get about 20 hours. That's not to say for the G Stylo. If I'm running this phone, YouTube, streaming music and stuff like that, maybe about 13 hours. 13 to 14 hours. If I use it light, where it's mostly on standby, I can get about 20 hours. But that just tells me that, you know, with LG and all the services, it really does use up a lot of the battery compared to, I don't know why I double tapped the ZTE Max. But the ZTE Max does not use up that much battery. It is not really running anything intense. I don't know if it's just a lollipop thing compared to Kit Kat. I don't know. But anyways, that's pretty much it for this comparison video. Let me know if you guys found it very informative, and if you guys did like it, please give me that thumbs up. Lets me know. And if you do thumbs down it, please comment why you give it a thumbs down, so I can get better at this. And yeah, share this video on all your favorite social networks like Google+, Facebook, and Twitter. And if you have not subscribed, please do so. Click that subscribe button for more videos like this in the future. My name is Tito, and I'm signing out. Stay blessed.